How are you doing? No, seriously, how are you doing? There's no doubt that COVID-19 and the lockdowns and social distancing have brought with them mental health struggles. There's an online debate about whether we'll see a tsunami of mental health issues following COVID, but that's beside the point. You and I know people who have struggled or have struggled more as a result of everything that's happened to us. There are those of us for whom this has all been a totally new thing. There are those whose existing struggles have been intensified by concerns about things to do with COVID, whether it's isolation or stresses and strains, uncertainties about work and money and health and family and so on. And that's us too. As a church, we know about mental health issues and we want to be a safe place for people who struggle. We're a mixed bunch of people with all sorts of life difficulties, including a variety of mental health issues. And it's not just the adults, is it? Many of us are concerned for the children too. We've recently had Infant Mental Health Awareness Week. How does a Christian respond to all of this? Well, three things mainly. The first one is we recognise that sadly, mental health struggles are part of living in a broken world. For us, the world and life is a good thing. It's a good gift from God. But life in this world is also broken. That's the Christian worldview. And we recognise that our minds and bodies are broken and experience pain and suffering. The second thing is we recognise that mental health is complex because we're complex. Again, the Christian worldview gives us a complex human, not merely flesh and blood, but a whole, physical and psychological, indeed actually physical, emotional, social and spiritual. And we recognise that these different aspects of our lives interact and sometimes collide. And that's too complex a subject for such a short video like this. But mental health is complex because we are complex. But then the third thing is we also believe that the Christian faith has great resources to help us with our mental health. The Bible discourages us from giving pat answers and offering pious platitudes to those who are suffering. But it does supply us with hope in times of despair, concrete confidence in times of uncertainty and anxiety. The buzzword in many places, workplaces and schools, the NHS, the forces and all kinds of areas of life is, of course, resilience. Now, in fairness, there's a whole ton of research that's been done on this subject, and it kind of tells us something that we already knew. There are certain character traits and life experiences, and importantly, simple things that we can all do that will make us more resilient and gritty. And what's been observed at the academic level is that many things that are absolutely basic to the Christian faith, whether it's beliefs or practices or both, many of these things are precisely the kind of things that are universally known to build resilience. Many characters in the Bible and prominent Christians throughout history struggled with their mental health. One such person was one of the greatest English poets, William Cowper. He battled with a terrible clinical depression. He was suicidal many times, but he was wonderfully helped and supported by his Christian friend John Newton. Newton became famous as the writer of the world's most famous hymn, Amazing Grace. And one comfort for Cowper was his belief that God works through all circumstances for the ultimate good of his people. And through the bleakest, darkest seasons of his life, he held on to this truth and this God. And he summed it up in a hymn like this: "Judge not the Lord by feeble sense, but trust him for his grace. Behind a frowning providence, he hides a smiling face. His purposes will ripen fast, unfolding every hour. The bud may have a bitter taste, but sweet will be the flower." That's been my experience, and it's the experience of many in our church and in our community. And we want to say, if you're struggling, you're not alone and help is available.